something you can't fix.
If you can't fix what's broken, you'll go insane.
It's Jay and Adam. It's Preview.
It's Preview's Fix It with Adam and Jay.
Hey, Peaches! Welcome to Fix It, where friends don't let friends fix pop culture alone.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Jay, and you're our listener.
Hey there, listeners.
Ho there, listeners.
Just control, listeners.
Take control.
Control.
That's right.
Control.
In Vlasteria, we have blown all of the bridges and tunnels.
Control.
And you and the martial law has been declared by the people.
Control.
Take Vlasteria back, everyone, if you dare. If you dare.
From us?
Look, we need to strengthen up our tiny little world of Vlasteria.
Okay.
You have no idea. It's like Fable 3. All the terrible things that we do to our citizenry is in the effort of strengthening them to fight the oncoming darkness.
You know, I never played Fable 3.
That's fun.
Oh, is that what happens?
Well, you find out. I mean, spoilers for Fable 3. This game has been out for 10 years. You are basically like you. Maybe it's Fable. I'm pretty sure it's Fable 3. There's like a mechanic of like ruling the nation because like you take out the king and like you're the once and future ruler, and so you take over, and you realize that the reason that the king was such a jerk and was really taking advantage of his citizenry is that like there's like a huge like he's preparing for like a huge oncoming darkness, like a force that you have to wage war against. So you have to make that like. It expands the concept of the moral gray area in that, like, yeah, this guy was a jerk, but he was like really.
There was a very big reason.
There was a big reason why, and so you as the ruler, you have like 5 years or something. Like it kind of like expands into a meta in like, hey, how are you going to like help your nation, but also not have everyone get killed?
When the darkness comes.
I can't remember what the actual bad guy is, but it's something.
It's not the darkness.
Yeah. It is a choice that a lot of people didn't. It's a very polarizing game.
Really?
That one. Yeah.
Oh.
I hope it's Fable 3. I don't know.
I was just referencing what happened in the movie, Jay.
Yeah. So everyone of Vlasteria, you learn to sword fight because you will need it. Yes.
The bigger the sword, the better.
Yeah.
What?
Did I sent you that TikTok of the guy training with a big buster sword, like a big wooden buster sword that he can put weights on, so he can like learn how to like.
No, you did not. No, you absolutely did not.
Okay, I'll have to find it again because it's like this guy just doing like he's basically it's a workout regimen for how to wield a huge sword.
Yes.
And I definitely sent this to you.
No, yes, you did not.
We'll watch it after this.
Yes, we absolutely will.
Because it's.
You're lucky I'm not stopping this podcast right now to watch it.
It's aggressively something that you would do.
Yes.
It's like it's your vibe.
Is he playing Devil May Cry 5 music in the background?
Honestly, I think
if not, he should be.
If he. How do I jump and spin this a bunch of times? I had the training for how to jump and hover in the air with the power of my sword slashes.
Yes.
And being awesome. I think maybe it's the coat,
Sure.
He weights his coat.
A lot of good coats.
Puts a lot of weight in his coat, and then when he finally doesn't have the weights on his coat, he can jump real good. Anyways, hi, everybody. Welcome to Fix It. I'm Jay. That's Adam. You may know us from the wildly popular YouTube reaction channel Previewed, or you may know us from just getting fired from a local children's a sane asylum. Because nobody works there anymore.
No one works there. It's a one-person operation.
This is our show, Fix It, where every week Adam and I take a piece of pop culture that maybe missed the mark, maybe didn't quite get there, maybe just needed an actual plot, and we fix it. And this week we're going to be fixing, I guess it was 2022?
Oh, man, that came out in 2020.
Oh, was it 2020?
Yeah.
2020
It came out later. Yeah, a while ago.
The New Mutants.
The New Mutants.
The New Mutants.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out, I think, like 2018.
It was
like that.
in.
But then I kept getting pushed back.
It was
and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
Development hell for an extraordinarily long time.
The making of this movie was scarier than the movie itself.
Yeah, and like to the point where I think you and I did trailer reactions multiple times for this.
We did.
And so far apart that we had kind of forgotten that we had done it before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to the degree I was like, I think this is one of those reshoot movies that, like, I think they just reshot the entire thing.
It came out in 2020.
2020?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They finally just like, take it. What are we gonna do? Streaming.
Yeah. But we're fixing the New Mutants this week.
Gonna fix the New Mutants.
The movie that honestly, this was my first watch through. I had not seen it.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
I had not seen it because it just didn't come up, and I had heard bad things, and I have a lot of affection for the New Mutants, and so I didn't necessarily want to dive in. And this movie has thoroughly vexed me to a degree that I don't know how to handle.
Yep.
Yeah, but before we get into the New Mutants, we have come to my absolute favorite part of the show, where Adam and I touch base with each other, and grow our friendship and grow our union and our bond, as it were.
So
it's
nice.
a little bit of fellowship in a segment we call Roll for Convo. Adam has in front of him 20 conversation starters that our lovely producer Brian, who is just truly the best producer in the game, but is also just one misstep away from being sent to the Phantom Realm.
You're spinning in a mirror.
And I'm going to roll a 20-sided die on my phone because I don't have a dice right now. Come at me.
They're all packed
Internet.
away.
Yeah. The Wizard of the Discord is going to roast me a bit on this, and that's fine. Come at me, bro. I'm going to roll a 20-sided die, and I got a gentleman's 18.
Wow, that just comes right up. There's no suspense or anything. It's just like, number.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's computers. That's kind of what they do.
I mean, sure, but, a little presentation, spin the dice a little bit.
No, man. No, we're
what's it gonna
speed
be?
running this D&D campaign. Let's go.
All right, question 18. What would you want your last meal to be?
My last meal?
What would you want your last meal to be?
This is actually something that I've thought about multiple times.
Okay.
And I don't, and I feel like my answer changes on the daily. I would like a lobster thermidor, which is when they take a
lobster,
and they toss it in a
thermos.
Yes, it's lobster in a thermos. It's just
it's a thermidor.
Yeah.
Somehow
No, it's just a thermos full of hot lobster meat. That's exactly what I want.
Great.
I want it. I just want woo, get that Coleman out and just
It keeps things warm and cold.
I got a Coleman full of sea bug meat. Yum yum yum.
Oh God, they are sea bugs, aren't they?
It is lobster, and then they prepare the lobster, and they open up the tail, and they pull out all of the lobster meat.
Okay.
And then they toss the lobster in a tarragon cream sauce, and then normally they put it back into the tail and like serve it in the lobster once again.
Okay.
And it is heaven. It is heaven. There is a restaurant in Atlantic City called the Knife and Fork that is relatively close to the Cooper Shore House.
Okay.
And so for special occasions, we go there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my absolute... especially when I go out to eat with my in-laws, I am not the type of person that like tries to get the most expensive thing on the menu.
Okay.
Like I try to be like I try to be,
a good guest.
I try to be a good guest.
Sure.
A cheapish date. To some degree,
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing where we're going there, and I'm like, I look at my father-in-law. I'm like, I'm getting the lobster thermidor. I'm sorry, it's the most expensive thing on the menu, but I need you to know it is the morale boost is going to be, the ROI on that is very high. He's like, oh, I know, I'm getting it too. Don't worry about it. He's like, it's the best. I would have a lobster thermidor with like a sweet potato mash, and then maybe like a light kale salad. And this is just today. It could change. I also could go like dirt version and like just like fried chicken. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, like a good fried chicken. That could be a good last
version?
meal. Or I also think about
Strap in, everybody. Here we go.
I think about this a lot. I don't know why this is like. This is a good question for me because I think about this a lot. I also am like, look, if I'm going to the electric chair, I wanna make a mess when I go out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to fill myself so full of so much slop.
You want to be a sloppy goblin?
I want to be a big old electric chair, like water balloon full of goo. Dessert is like some kind of like tres leches, like ice cream. Like, I would imagine like it would be a tres leches brownie ice cream sundae with like hot fudge and caramel and some peanuts on top. Like something delicious. But yeah, I want to be, or yeah, just like fill myself full of slop so I just pop like a big old balloon, you know?
Sure.
Like,
I
oh
guess.
man, he ate like, ooh, my last meal is just, I want a Home Depot bucket full of
Like Pop Rocks?
full of gumbo.
Oh.
Full of like day old gumbo. I want it I want it to be a mess.
So a spite meal.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna make them work for it. You know?
Sure.
What about you? What's your last meal?
I don't know, man.
Like-
Chicken. Maybe some tortellini.
What would be your dessert?
There's no dessert. Maybe garlic bread. With some garlic bread with that?
Garlic bread as dessert.
Sure, why not?
But you could have your birthday cake, your white,
Like a cupcake?
your yellow cake,
Okay.
chocolate frosting birthday
Sure.
cake that you have every year.
I don't usually consider dessert as part of the meal. Dessert's like a little later on.
It's your last meal on the earth. You're going to die. You get to have dessert.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's
Maybe some ice cream.
okay. Yeah, because ice cream is the one food. Like whenever you're on a diet or something and like you get cravings and stuff, you don't have any idea of how to relate to me on this.
Sorry, bud.
Most of the time when you're like depriving yourself, like I try to keep my sugar intake pretty low.
Makes sense, yeah.
But a lot of times like I get like sugar cravings, and most of the times when I ever indulge in it, most of the time it never satisfies the way I want it to.
Huh.
Like it never lives up to like you dreaming about it, you know what I mean? Your expectation, it's never really met. Ice cream is the one food that absolutely meets every expectation.
Oh.
Ice cream you have and you're like, yeah, this was as good as I thought it was going to be. And more. Ice cream is the Hamilton of desserts.
Huh.
It lives up to the hype of 100%.
Huh.
You know?
That's interesting.
I think your last meal would probably be like a steak dinner. You like steak?
Yeah, not that much.
Huh. You'd have tortellini.
It's tasty.
Okay.
It's a ragu sauce.
All right. A ragu?
Yeah.
Like an actual ragu or the brand ragu?
The brand ragu.
Oh, okay. A ragu is normally a meat sauce of some kind.
There is meat sauce ragu.
I suppose there is, isn't there?
There is.
I suppose. Never have we ever had a roll for convo that was more lopsided. Never. This is like, I have 8 answers and Adam has none.
Maybe 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't dream or think about food before I'm eating it.
Ever. At all.
No.
That's so fascinating to me.
Because when he says like, oh, it lives up to the what you imagine, it's like, oh yeah, I don't imagine what food tastes like.
Yeah. You and I, that is, I think, the biggest, like, the truly, like, most ideological difference between the two of us. Like, I feel like, if anything, my biggest struggles are with my impulses and
Sure.
impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have them.
Nope. I really don't.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
It
to me.
is. Just come by it earnestly.
But I think there's also a manifestation of that in that, like, I feel like to use the pun and to use the parlance, like, I feel like I make a lot of my decisions with my gut,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times I don't think you do that.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like as much as I struggle with my impulses, I also I feel like a lot of times that we get into certain circumstances, I'm like, this doesn't feel right, we got to go. And you're just like, what? And I think those are linked. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's tortellini.
Yeah. Little 3-cheese tortellini. Yum yum.
Yeah. If in lieu of a last meal,
Sure.
if you got to do one, like, what would you want your last thing to be? What would your last little treat be? If food is not your treat, I think the whole concept of the last meal is like giving you one last little bit of goodness before you go.
Okay.
What would your last little treat be?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You really never think about this kind of stuff?
Jay, I am the main character.
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes the main character gets sentenced to death. There's a lot of books where that happens.
Not in the books.
Which is a far, far better thing.
No, man.
Huh.
I never think about this stuff.
Wow. Would it be like video games or something? Like,
Yeah, probably.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good.
Yeah.
I feel closer to you.
Do you?
No.
No, I don't think you do.
No.
I feel like you know me more.
Yeah.
But we're not any closer to each other.
Yeah. It's like I see you for who you are, and I love you for who you are, and I really don't. But like the food thing is something that I really I really do my best to like respect your boundaries when it comes to that stuff.
Sure.
You know, because I have pushed that envelope a couple of times in a way that didn't go great, and I've learned that, and I understand that. But like, it is something that comes up. Like, every time I go, hey, have you ever had this? I really like am coming from like a fresh slate. I forget, like I realize the middle of saying it, like, oh no, you haven't. Nope.
Well, here's the thing, Jay. Everyone eats.
I mean, if you don't want to talk about this, I understand.
It's fine. Everybody eats. Everybody needs food.
Yeah.
But most people on the planet connect with other people while eating.
Yes.
I don't.
Okay.
Which I know there's a small. I am a very, very small minority of a human on the planet who just like does not have any doesn't equal food with connection to other people.
Yeah.
Because I know, and that is as a societal thing, like that is how humans.
The concept of the feast has been something that
since
has
the dawn of time, as proto-humans were walking the planet and eating together. It's like I totally get it. I just like I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. But I get that I'm the anomaly.
No, I know. Does it feel kind of lonely sometimes?
No, because I don't care.
Okay.
Now, granted, when I was a kid, I got angry.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't have words and to express myself.
Yeah, you didn't quite understand really what was going on.
No. And also I was just made to feel
I don't know. Sometimes I worry about you in that like I don't want you to I sometimes I think stuff like that like can like kind of can isolate someone, and I just don't want to make sure you don't feel isolated.
I don't feel isolated at all.
Okay.
Because I know this is my thing, and it's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I just don't care anymore. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yay, eat your stuff. Go have fun. I'm just gonna sneak over here and eat some chicken and broccoli.
I'm good. Got my backpack. I got a backpack full of power bars. We're chilling.
We're chilling, baby.
Yeah. All right.
Yum yum. Eat them up. Ow.
So if food is not where you can kind of connect with people, where do you think you make your most meaningful connections?
Doing things.
Okay, like activities?
Yes.
Yeah.
Achieving goals together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know that about you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I finished. It took me all day yesterday, but I finished the hard part of editing episode 7 of Bonus Action.
Yeah.
And spoiler, it's a big battle episode for everybody.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a very long episode.
It gets
a little crazy. But here's the thing: as I'm editing it and watching it in real time, as I'm going and doing the audio mixing, like the fact that all 6 of us and 7, including David, like yes-anding all of the things we're saying and going along with bits, or just coming up with the silly things we're saying as we are meeting, trying ideas, meeting conflict, overcoming obstacles and stuff like that. From the beginning, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go!" To at the end of, there is a vast difference at the collective table.
Yeah.
Between all 7 of us at the beginning, and then all 7 of us at the end, we are completing each other's sentences. We are like looking out for each other.
I know
we are going on. We are yes-anding almost smoothly with each other, which we were not beforehand.
Yeah.
There was not like anything was rough, but like we were not in sync.
No, it takes us the whole season to kind of really understand what we're doing.
And then by episode 7, by the time we get to the end of it...
It's good content. We're funny as hell.
Oh, it's fantastic content, but you can see how when we come together as a table of 7 people telling a story with dice and, like, overcoming a thing, like, it is... You can see it happen at the table.
Yeah.
We all come together as a unit, and it's, like, amazing by the end.
That's one thing I really appreciate. I was excited for you when I was trying to get you into D&D and you weren't sure about it. I was like, I feel like this is going to be a good way for Adam to bond with people.
Yeah.
In a way that
like when we play like Apex or Separatists, and we're just, by a certain point, like, we're kicking ass, like, we're just, mocking the random people we're killing and shooting. It's like, it's great.
Yeah.
Overcoming obstacles.
Yeah, but sometimes you have a hard time when we're not doing great.
Sometimes
but that's why I
don't like not doing good.
D&D, yeah, but D&D, there's really no wrong way to play D&D, so I think that kind of cuts the edge off of that in a way that, yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure I can watch. I make a choice in episode 7 that I'm not sure I can watch myself make it again. I don't. I'm not sure I'm going to be pre-watching that part of it.
Sure.
If I'm being honest. But we'll see.
Spoilers, everybody.
Spoilers. All right, we should probably move on to New Mutants.
We should probably move into the New Mutants.
Really hope I didn't push you too far. I wasn't really trying to.
I in no way feel pushed, sir.
Yeah. I just want to be a big, sloppy, wet gumbo balloon when I go to the electric chair. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Hi, we're big, sloppy, wet gumbo balloon. We
Yeah,
just need one word suggestion to get started.
Yeah. All right.
Gross.
That's been Roll for Convo. The New Mutants.
The New Mutants.
A
movie that was trying to be made for a very long time.
It was really...
And then it got made, and then made again, and I think made another time. And then sat on the shelf for a while. And
yeah.
Made a fourth time, and then sat a little bit longer.
I think the big... from what I can tell from what this movie that we got, I feel like this was this was in the editing room and had to be completely reworked from the ground up in the editing bay in a way that kind of cut all of the edges off of this movie. This movie was a gigantic nothing burger. It truly... And what frustrated me the most about this movie, if I had a thesis statement for why I'm bummed, is that there was so much potential here, and and it's not even it tried and didn't get off the runway or kind of crashed and burned. This movie just didn't even, the engines didn't even start. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
nothing really. When you have casting of this caliber, knowing what I know about the New Mutants, I was like, these are all them. This is great. I mean, there is what's his name from Stranger Things who looks like he looks 48, and they really tried to pass him off as a teenager, and Cannonball, he looks 38, you know what I mean? He doesn't look like a teen. It's just, it's not even his appearance. It's his vibe. You know what I'm saying? When they were like, I've worked in the coal mine, I was like, to me, your vibe says you still do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And you've been there for a while. You're a union rep. This is, you're
sure.
Died in the claw. I have a hard time with it. But everyone else, but he did a good job.
Everyone did a great job.
And you have an amazing cast, and you also have a script that has a fundamental understanding of all of these characters and has a fun inner life for all of these characters. And then the movie just kind of goes. When I did a watch along with the Discord, if you want to join the preview Discord, definitely join up. Discord,
do that.
Discord.gg/previewed. Check it out. It's the best community on the internet.
It's a lot of fun.
A watch along of everything that we're doing every week. It got to a point where someone was like, there's 20 minutes left. And I was like, are you serious? Nothing's happened. No. We've gotten all of they've all been coy about their backstories for an hour, and then the movie's over.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen the New Mutants, we've come to our favorite segment before we dive into it a little bit
It's
further.
our favorite segment.
Our absolutely favorite segment, the best one we ever do.
Gun to our head, this is the favorite segment.
And I think Lashley's going to be doing it this week.
I am going to be doing it.
If
If
you
I
have-
have to, we have chosen for me to do it.
Yes, indeed. For those of you who have not seen the New Mutants and want to know a quick synopsis of what happens in our favorite segment, Palatra.
Okay, so we meet our main character, Danny Moonstar, at the very beginning as she's woken up by her father on a reservation, and a Native American reservation, and there's a giant, something's going on, terror everywhere, wind, things are flying around, explosions. He's like, gotta go into the woods, you gotta hide. I gotta go back for everybody. And her father dies right in front of her, and then she wakes up and is in a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
Asylum. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't
know
not
what the
quite sure
what the right term is.
Yeah, what the right term is anymore.
I think asylum is the right word.
It definitely seemed like as the
feels
movie
like
goes
it.
on, it was definitely felt more like an asylum-esque area. It also kind of looked like the same set they used in Glass.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
sure if that's right or not, but when the camera, the jib shot comes out, when the Ileana's showing her around, it's like, is that the same thing as Glass? Because that was this when all the thing
I
happened.
feel like the set in Glass was a little bit more industrial, had a little bit more going on around it, whereas this was kind of in the middle of the woods. So I'm not 100% sure.
It felt similar.
Yes.
Anyways, Danny wakes up in this, well, I'm just going to call it an asylum, doesn't know what's going on. Eventually, Dr. Reyes, who's a character, I don't know if this is an original character or whatever, I'm not sure, shows up and is like, oh, Danny, there was an accident. You're the only survivor of your tribe. You were sent here to recover, possibly to help to join the X-Men, but you just have to recover. They name drop the X-Men inside the first half hour of the movie. Then she meets the other mostly teenagers there. It's Sunspot, Cannonball, Magic, and Wolfsbane. And everyone's got problems and issues because they're teenagers. The next hour
is all of them dealing with all of their issues.
Yes, and like we all have backstories, and they're all good backstories.
Yes, they're
but
all
no
very
one's
good.
talking about them.
Nope.
It's frustrating because they go from like Magic kind of goes from like, oh, I don't like people. We're best friends, and we're dancing, and I knocked out the person who's holding us here, and they don't all escape, but she's unconscious. Here, no, there. It turns out that Danny's mutant power is the ability to find her deepest fears and make them manifest.
Yes.
But she doesn't have any control of them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's fears are kind of all coming out, but they play it for spookiness.
Yes.
The movie is not spooky.
Yeah.
It's intended to be a horror film, but it's not. Jay?
No.
It's not a horror film.
And I think they originally shot it as to be a lot scarier. And
the
then
original
realized,
intent was for it to be a horror film.
Yeah.
And it
clearly doesn't. It doesn't get
didn't.
anywhere close to that.
It really doesn't. But all the tropes are there. All the things are there. The language of cinema of a horror film are there. But it's just like, but this isn't. But I'm not. This no way invokes, I think, what you're trying to invoke.
No.
It turns out Dr. Reyes works for Daniel Essex, which is the real life, or I guess the human name for Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
And the Essex Corporation. Eventually, Danny's her greatest fear was a story her dad told her as a kid of the two bears that live inside of everybody. One's basically one's good, one's bad, and the bad one shows up and it's freaking huge. And basically, that scene from Jaws when the shark bites the ship and then the captain slides down the boat into the mouth happens to Dr. Reyes with a giant bear, and then all of a sudden everyone is able to use their powers, kind of. To fight said bear, but then it turns out that the only person who could stop the bear is Danny, and she does.
Yeah.
And then they go, I guess, maybe try to head to upstate New York to find the X-Mansion.
They just leave.
Because they know about the X-Men. They talk about them a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Magic's brother is one of them. If this is taking place in the actual X-verse of the Fox films, which this was the last movie that 20th Century Fox did, Colossus was there.
Yeah.
He was there. So, The Act 3 fight with the giant bear was awesome.
Yeah.
Magic's, everyone's abilities were awesome.
That was really,
Just
the end fight was
didn't
great.
quite-
It just didn't.
Yeah. So here's a fun fact. I'm on IMDb's page just to find out when the movie came out. And in the trivia section, it actually says that this was intended to be the first movie of a trilogy.
Really?
Yes. Where the second film would be an alien invasion, I believe, of the Brood.
Yeah.
Which is also a spooky, scary story from the
That's
X-Men.
where we initially get Lockheed to begin with. Granted, it's with Shadowcat. But...
and Warlock. And then the third installment was going to be based on the comic event Inferno from 89.
Oh, okay. I'm afraid I don't really know much about that
You'll
one.
find out more about that in one of my fixes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, like, I mean, there are spooky, scary X-Men stories out there, or can be adapted into more of a thriller than, say, just a normal comic book movie. But yeah,
I think this had the bones to really go the distance in a way that was really frustrating. But I want to know more about the development hell that this movie went through, and maybe learn some more fun facts about the New Mutants. We'll kick it to our producer Brian really quick to fill us in on all the things we need to know about the New Mutants. So Brian, why don't you roll that beautiful bean fun fact footage?
Thank you, gentlemen. Producer Brian here, and I'm going to do what the boys have not done yet and wish you a happy Halloween. That's why today we are trying to fix the fake horror movie and last Fox X-Men movie, 2020's The New Mutants. Written by Josh Boone and Nate Lee, this movie was also directed by Boone and stars Maisie Williams, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Alice Braga, Blue Hunt, Henry Saga, Adam Beach, and more. This movie cost upwards of $80 million to make and made just $49.2 million at the box office. Now, here are some fun bean facts. This movie went through a lot of bit of hell. It started as a horror movie, then was shot as a teenage mental institution movie, think like Breakfast Club meets Cuckoo's Nest, then eventually went back for reshoots to add in some of the horror that the original script concept called for. Now, since it was popular, the trailer was cut as more of a horror movie. Now, Disney then bought Fox and said it had limited box office potential. So, its release date was shifted a lot. It was supposed to come out in April 2018, but it was moved to February 2019 to avoid Deadpool 2. Then it was moved to August 2019 to avoid Dark Phoenix. Then it was delayed to April 2020 by Disney after it bought Fox. Then it was moved to August 28, 2020 during COVID. Now, the contract signed for this movie guaranteed a theatrical release. Now, as Adam previously mentioned, one of the early original concepts was it was being developed for a trilogy. Now, it was filmed in the same Boston-based institution that was used for Shutter Island. And if you care, it has a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 2.1 average out of 5 on Letterboxd. Anyway, back to you, gentlemen.
Extensive work, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
That was, yeah.
There's a lot to talk about with this movie.
The story of this movie is definitely more interesting than this movie itself.
Yes. And the more research I did about the New Mutants, and this was on my pull list for a while. I really enjoyed the New Mutants. I liked the book a lot, but I realized that a lot of my information on the New Mutants was from the 2009 revamp, and not necessarily the initial introduction of these characters. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I was pleasantly surprised to what extent this screenplay is pretty authentic to its characters. Mm-hmm. And like tries to really and whatever liberties they take with like the original comic book origin are all in service of making the characters more interesting.
Yes.
And I really appreciated that. But this whole movie, I think God, sorry, I know this movie just like totally like really upset me because it's such a common trap for characters being coy about what's going on with them, and it's just so much more interesting when you can just get that stuff out of the way on the quicker side.
Well, here's the thing: the movie is only 90 minutes long.
Yes,
And Peach on Discord wrote to us and said, "Hey, I know somebody who was on the production of this, and told a story of how like this the director and writer of this movie, Josh Boone, originally wrote his original script was a horror film,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, that was great. Can you add mutants to this? They're like, yeah, I think so. Yeah, we can do the mutants.
Yeah.
And so he just transplanted the new mutants into this already story. I was like, oh, that kind of lined up with the
It works.
It does line up with
conceptually. It's not bad.
It's not bad. It does line up with the Demon Bear story from the New Mutants.
Yes.
The problem is that all these characters are very interesting, but superheroes and horror movies have a hard time coexisting together.
Yeah.
Because superheroes have powers and can fight the darkness.
Yes.
Or figure out ways around the darkness, whereas normal humans are powerless against something powerful.
Yes.
And we got to use gumption and wit to get out of the situation, which that's what makes it a spooky scary.
Yeah.
But like, if Cannonball is nigh invulnerable when he flies,
Yes.
if Magic can just open up a portal at any time to Limbo, which she does in the movie multiple times, you can leave at any time.
Yes.
And also the whole Mr. Sinister thing is this like, we gotta tie it to something in the X universe.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sinister's
It's
running
actually
this
not.
thing.
It's not a terrible choice, but
It's not. But
there's better ways to do it. But also for me, and this is, I think like my biggest frustration with the movie is that like I don't believe that these people have overcome their issues.
oh, they truly haven't.
And they really try to make it seem like they're overcoming this thing. And for me, I think the biggest missed opportunity is when Cannonball goes to the door and they're like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, you'll hurt yourself. And he just goes, you got to get better sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, if they had emotionally earned that line, that would have been like an incredible moment.
Mm-hmm.
An incredible moment. But like, it just doesn't. They fight the demon bear, and I just like don't feel like they're necessary. I don't think anyone really changes in this movie.
Let me ask you this: if this movie didn't have mutants in it, did not have the New Mutants, same movie, but it's humans. So obviously it changes a little bit with the power stuff.
Yeah.
But like mostly everything else still pretty much stays the same. Spooky Asylum run by a Nurse Ratched type
Would have
character.
been a nothing burger of them. Were they supposed to? Were in the original screenplay? Were they super? Did they have powers?
I don't think so. I'm just assuming that if my question is if they were just normal people in the situation
Then
of
what
like
is- then what even is this movie?
well, their fears like coming to life.
Sure.
And there's spooky, scary, and like that type of movie of these kids dealing with their past traumas.
Yeah.
Would that have been better than having these? No.
Well, I would be led to believe that this was the original screenplay. If I were to guess, would have had superpowered people in an asylum of some kind.
Or maybe like Danny's power is just kind of a random someone's
And then
got a psychic
someone
ability.
shows up with
Yeah.
powers with the ability to like manifest their fears,
Yeah.
and then they're dealing with it.
Mhm.
And then that would be an easy ass to map another like just,
Sure. Yeah.
just map mutants onto this.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think it would have worked. I don't think this movie, regardless of powers, really works. I think the only thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is that like I think the casting is really good.
Casting's fantastic.
Like Anna Taylor-Joy's Magic is just like I was like, oh yes, more of this,
Yes,
please.
please. Yeah.
She is her. She is her, and
she's still her. Disney pay her the money.
Yeah.
Get Magic in these films.
Get Magic, dude. Magic should be in Deadpool so hard, like so hard. Do you know what I'm saying? It's perfect.
Yes.
She's Colossus's little sister,
Yeah.
and she's a pain in the ass. And
And
Colossus is already in the movie.
He's already in the movie.
And I would imagine her Magic and Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, I think, would be a really fun dynamic.
That'd be
And they
great.
would both be clowning on Colossus in a way that would be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, oh, you're not supposed to. Dang it! Like that dynamic is great. I think Arya Stark as Wolfsbane is chef's kiss.
Oh, she's fantastic.
It's perfect.
Yes.
She looks just like her from
She
the comics.
does.
It's
She-
spooky. I think the girl that got to play Dany was great.
She was great.
Like, it's just so. I really like these characters, and I really like what's possible with them. It's just like this.
Was it that the fact that they didn't utilize the time to really go back on everyone's backstory and deal with their emotional journeys of trying to find some type of point or the beginning of healing with their past trauma?
I guess they it's like by the time everyone kind of revealed what was going on with them, we were fighting a demon bear.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And it's just like, and also like, certain characters got more to them. Like Sunspot was kind of an afterthought a little bit.
Sunspot was an afterthought.
Even though that burning corpse in the pool was really scary.
Oh, it was great effects.
And the CG in this movie is very, very good.
Yes.
Like when every time Magic pulls out her sword, I'm like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the manifestation of Cannonball's abilities was like really unique and cool,
Yeah.
and him gibbing all of those Slender Man
Mm-hmm.
was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. It was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. I was like, that's a manifestation of a power we haven't seen in movies.
We have not.
Like Sunspot looked like what Sunspot looks like.
Yeah, and it was great.
It was awesome.
Should have been, pew-pewing with,
I would agree.
but not using
Yeah.
just bashing a
There's a
bear
lot
with
more to
pew,
Sunspot
but-
that we could have gotten out of all of this, but
Yeah, we totally could have.
yeah.
But I mean, like, it seemed like everyone had it was almost like a one shot. We have these 5 D&D characters with like really deep, cool backstories that we barely touch on in this first little adventure, and they fight a boss battle at the end, but like we don't actually get the full breadth and of them dealing
And
with their
scope.
past trauma, and all those stories are really important. They're
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And like I really wanted to
They need more time to breathe.
They needed more time to breathe.
And I would have been you would walk away from this movie really rooting for the characters if you like really felt it like an impactful overcoming of what it is.
Yeah.
But also this movie suffers from what I call a high school Grease problem.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times when a school or a community theater production puts on a production of Grease.
Okay.
A lot of times there are so many characters in Grease
Sure.
that by the time it comes to casting the rest of you cast the show
Okay.
and then you cast some ensemble members,
Mm-hmm.
but Rydell High oftentimes has the propensity to look at like an empty high school. Because there's so many characters in the show that by the
Okay.
time you've cast everybody, there's not,
The theater department's already been.
yeah, the theater department is like kind of been.
There's
like,
no one left.
casted
Everyone's
out.
in the main cast.
So it's like there's like 5 ensemble members, and it's like so only 10 kids go to this high school. Like the extent to which there was only one lady with a werewolf, a hexblade warlock, a fusion reactor of a human being, a full on Fear Factory projector, and there's only one lady who can do force fields, looking over them
Yeah.
and expecting them to just not kill her or leave.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand how Ileana didn't kill her immediately.
Yeah, considering she can manifest a sword out of nowhere,
Out of nowhere.
a hell
Oh,
sword.
Yeah. Solitary confinement. I can leave here
I can
at any moment.
at any moment.
I rendered you unconscious. I knocked you. I put sleeping pills or something in your drink. Let's go party in the attic. No, just
Yes.
Oh, scare.
It like called into
Scare.
question. It called into question the rationale of it. Like for me, it like destroyed the foundation of reality in this movie. I just like didn't believe there was no stakes.
Well, that's the problem. When in horror films, like especially nowadays, like movies that take place nowadays, they're like, use your phone. Like you have to
Yes.
set up the circumstances of why your characters are in the situation
Yes.
and can't leave, or there's only one path out.
It just felt like a bunch of wacky teens in an abandoned building with a caretaker, rather than if they had like orderlies and stuff.
Yeah.
And like
they were fighting against the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you could, I feel like you could make the everyone dealing with their own trauma and trying to relate to other people more meaningful if they kind of had to sneak around, and these conversations were like in hushed tones.
Yeah.
It would have raised the stakes on everything. I was like, they were just poisoned at sea and just like went up to the attic so they could just do find an old lie detector test and like eat snacks. And I'm like,
watch
no,
more Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
yeah. I'm like, the stakes are so low it doesn't even matter. Oh man,
Yeah.
this movie, God,
There was a lot of really great things in this movie.
Yes.
But the parts are more important than the whole.
This is like this is a studio problem.
Oh yes, 1,000%.
This is like this is a studio notes completely ruining a movie.
Yeah.
Because like if this movie was actually scary and actually kind of hit kind of hard,
yeah,
I think this movie would have. If they had let this movie be this movie, I think it could have really been something new and fresh and cool and fun. Like I understand. I read a couple of articles about the guy who made this movie, and he was like, I really related to a lot of these characters. Like this was like, he was like, yes, it was kind of assigned to me, but like I came out of this like, you know, the New Mutants like really mean a lot to me now, and I was like, I feel that. Yeah. But like, this got edited into the ground.
Edited, noted, yeah. They tried to put this story into it, and like, because I read didn't read it, but like I doing the research, it's like, oh, this is there was a Demon Bear story. Oh, okay, cool. They find themselves trapped in a giant snowstorm in an abandoned or like in a hospital, and Danny's unconscious, and everyone's trying to deal with. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because the whole, like, asylum, caretaker, they're against their will, that part's all gone. They're just dealing with an issue, and all their past fears and traumas show up. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, we're now in trouble. Yeah. Is easier to get into that story that way than teens at an asylum that are going to be used for Mr. Sinister's plots for world domination or something.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. Can we isolate that audio? I want that as my phone. My phone
when
ring.
I call you.
Oh, it's Adam. Is he having a stroke? No, he's talking about New Mutants. You know. All right, should we fix this thing?
Let's fix it, Jay.
I'm gonna go first, I think.
Jay's going first, everybody.
Look at that pause for Brian.
Pause for Brian.
Enjoy.
Pause for Brian.
All right, look at that.
Edit point for Brian.
Okay. So my New Mutants fix. I am not making a movie. I am doing a 6-episode arc on Disney Plus.
Why not? Probably you could do it for the same money.
I think you could probably do it for the same amount of money, and I think that like when I was thinking about it, like one of my biggest issues is that this movie's too short, and I think if you got to let this show let these characters breathe a little bit, especially with what we're going through.
Yes.
I think there's a model that I'm kind of shooting for like a 6-episode Disney Plus show. I think you could also make the argument that the CW style, like a little bit more serialized television, could also work.
Like a 15-episode run?
Kind of. The idea is I want to turn this show, and it's what I've always wanted to do. I want to turn I want to take Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters and smash it together with Riverdale. And this is the perfect opportunity to do so. So we are getting a pseudo spicy, pseudo edgy high school drama.
Yes.
I'm talking Riverdale with like a little bit of Wednesday Addams. A little quirky fun.
It makes a lot more sense. There's way more source material, and you could just mix and match all these kids, and there's always room for more new cast members to come in and replenish.
Yes. We open on very similar to the movie. Danny her family is attacked. She doesn't understand why. She blacks out, and she wakes up in the forest with like miles away from where she was. She has no idea how she's gotten there, and we see a Danny having to like knowing that her family is dead and knowing that something is horribly wrong, and not understanding what's going on with her abilities. We see her as she's making her way out of the forest and like trying to get towards some sort of town. We see her having some kind of aspects of her telekinetic abilities start to show up, and she makes her way into like kind of this town outside of the reservation, trying to get some kind of help. And we see basically like she tries to like go into a bar to like try to use their phone to try to get help, and it becomes relatively quick that they understand at that place that like either they're checking at the door or there's some kind of sensor or something that she's a mutant and she's got to go. And eventually in this first episode, we see like she is registered as a mutant, and we see that like kind of register something on a computer somewhere, and we see the Hellfire Club shows up to take Danny. Danny is running from Hellfire Club, and she is learning about her powers as she goes. And we see, and this is actually part of his origin story, the person from that the Hellfire Club sends to go after Danny is a young Cannonball.
Really?
Yes.
He was a Hellion?
No, he was a Hellfire Club, yeah.
Oh, he was?
Well, Hellion's a different, that's...
I thought they were like
no, Hellions
Hellfires
is...
was the...
Well, we're actually... Hellions are coming. We're going to get there.
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm backing off. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You'll see how.
Okay.
So basically, Danny's full abilities manifest as she's fighting Cannonball with like whatever limited psionic abilities she has.
Sure.
And eventually she like locks him down, and we get the flashback of like who Cannonball is and where he came from and how he ended up in the Hellfire Club. And then we see like a young Danny show up in his vision and be like, you don't have to, like, she's there too and seeing all of it.
Oh.
Because I want to give her some agency in this stuff.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, I mean, yes, that makes sense. Because if her power is just to manifest someone's fear, that's one thing. But also to be able to psionically link into it and be like, hi.
There's a reason like Danny becomes a like one of the leaders in the X-Men is because like she is there to like help people work through their stuff. So I like the idea of her being able to pop up, and she's like, "Hey, I'm on the run. You don't have like these people are not helping you, and they're not trying to help me. Like, let's get out of here.
Let's
go." And so like the two of them team up, and they are trying to make their way to. They know about Xavier School, and they're trying to make their way there. En route, as they're making their way, eventually, like I would imagine
that's episode 1.
That's episode 1.
Yeah,
they are on a bus to upstate New York, and the bus is attacked by a gigantic force, like some kind of spooky, scary force. We don't really know what it is. It's like clearly some kind of monster. Eventually, what they see we see Storm, Cyclops, and Rogue show up to take out this force. And as in the backlash of fighting this thing, they understand that Cannonball and Danny on the bus are mutants. Mm-hmm. They were like, "Oh, you guys are probably the perfect like." Are you? And they're like, "We're on our way to the mansion." They're like, "Oh, absolutely, like no problem. Like, hey, you can come with us." And so they basically like start the process of getting into Xavier School for
gifted youngsters.
Gifted youngsters. There we go. But when they're going through like the initial testing, like off-site, they realize that these two like they have not reached. What they're told is they have not reached their potential, and their power is like potentially too strong to be just in general pop, and so they're gonna have to end up going away to what I'm calling Camp Nowhere.
Okay,
cool. To train a little bit more and get a better handle on their powers before they can go to school and like train to join the X-Men or join that community. And so that's where we meet. That's where we meet Magic. That's where we meet Sunspot, and that's also where I am also Wolfsbane, and Karma is also going to be there as well. Karma is another one of the New Mutants.
Yes.
She's mind control.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty scary, actually. And so in the efforts of keeping this a horror story.
Yeah. Okay.
and keeping it like spooky scary.
Spooky scary.
We're basically getting like a Friday the 13th like campers situation. They're going to camp. And
Okay. Yep.
I would
Yep,
imagine
yep.
there's probably some other characters there. We need some red shirt mutants because we are inevitably going to like there are going to be at when they are at camp, they're inevitably going to be losing people to like this this monster in the woods. The person when we finally arrive at the camp, we are met by the woman running it, and it is Moira McTaggart.
Oh, hey. That's great.
Yes. And I'm excited for her in this because I did a deep dive on Moira McTaggart, and her powers are far more interesting than I.
Well, those powers are recent.
Yes, but I'm including them.
What? Okay.
So in true high school, that's kind of episode 2. We meet Moira McTaggart, and that's kind of the reveal. At the
They
end
get to
of
Camp
episode
Nowhere.
2.
Okay.
Episode 3 and 4, we are getting backstory about the characters. We are having like group therapy where everyone's kind of working through their stuff, and Moira McTaggart realizes she uses Karma and Danny in conjunction of basically she uses Karma's powers in conjunction with Danny to be able to manifest people's trauma.
Sure.
She was like, Karma can get into their head and then Danny can kind of project it. And so we get kind of group therapy that turns into all of this stuff. All the while, I'm keeping Danny and Wolfsbane are falling in love.
That's great.
Because, I mean, Wolfsbane, I don't know if they ever necessarily were together, but Danny is definitely gay. And I think that's kind of important. She's one of the first like gay characters in comics before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I'm having them fall in love, but I'm also adding in the love triangle in that Cannonball is also kind of in love with Rain a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And she is like the middle of that triangle in that she is actually in love with Danny, but she is, because of her Catholic upbringing, there's so much religious guilt with A, her powers, and B, I mean, mutants writ large is always coded as the other. So like I think there's a little bit of a lover scorn thing between her and Cannonball, but I think eventually they get over it. We're also dealing with I think Sunspot he's become full on agoraphobic.
Oh,
because he's just worried about being around other human beings at all.
Sure.
Because he was like, I like the idea of Sunspot like not liking to go out. Like Sunspot doesn't like sunshine. It becomes like the joke on camp.
Sure. Well, I mean, he's a sun. He's a freaking walking fusion reactor. I don't know.
And I think there could very well be I think her and Karma become really close friends. And I think the betrayal between the two of them is like Karma, I think she abuses her powers a little bit in order to kind of get him to come out of his shell a little bit more. And like maybe
Sunspot?
to like come out and like utilize his powers, and then like she doesn't really fundamentally understand what he's capable of. And so like I don't think there's a love story between the two of them. I think it's just there's like a pure friendship.
Sure.
And she kind of crosses that line and accidentally like gets some people hurt. And all the while, at nighttime, like stuff's going down.
Something stalking the students.
And magic is just kind of a problem to everybody.
Yeah.
Eventually, we figure out that it's very similar. The concept of the demon bear is the monster.
Right.
And all of them kind of have to come together to overcome this obstacle. And all the while, like I think some of the X-Men are in and out.
Little cameos here and there.
Little cameos here and there. But the inevitable twist at the end here, they defeat the demon bear. They all come together as friends. They realize that they're a team. That's
Danny
what's important.
has a little bit more of a
Danny is like Danny fully I think she finally comes into her understanding, and the demon bear is not the Demon Bear is the last bastion of her not being able to control her powers.
Right.
She's all the while she is manifesting her own fear.
Yes.
And that's where it is. And so it's like, cool, like the Demon Bear, like I can keep this power inside of me and I'm even more powerful. Through that, once Danny defeats the Demon Bear and like embraces like what she's actually capable of.
Right.
She starts to the where they are and what's going on starts to unravel. And this is something that's built up through the episodes, that like Moira is not, there's something wrong with her.
Okay.
And there's something off about this place.
Sure. So this is like the end of episode 5. She like defeats the bear at
Yes.
the end of episode 5, and then wait a second.
And then she was like, yeah, she fully embraces her powers. She takes one look at Moira and like, you know, they lock eyes and there's a soul gaze. End of episode. Our final episode and leading into our second season.
Look at you with a show Bible and the seasons plotted out.
Once the kids like finally come together and realize that like they're a team, and they discover that the Moira McTaggart is not who she says she is. She's actually Moira McTaggart, but as they like infiltrate like her cabin and find the laboratory underneath it, we realize that we find a very large facility.
Sure.
We find actual Moira McTaggart in a tube. And we find a lot of information about the Essex Corporation.
Yep.
And we find out that the Essex Corporation is utilizing Moira McTaggart's like regeneration and resurrection abilities in order to embody and power clones. And we find clone copies of a good amount of the X-Men, a couple of Moira McTaggarts, and we find the final episode is them talking through a screen to a full-on Mr. Sinister, and realizing that they are not at they are not
approved.
They are not at an Xavier approved
facility,
camp. He is trying to he is trying to basically understand their powers so he can clone them and utilize them improperly. So they basically have to fight their way out while saving regular Moira McTaggart. They wake her up and she's like, we have to get to the mansion. And so the end of season 1 of New Mutants, while they realize that and they have to fight clone X-Men on their way out, because
we've already seen,
the X-Men that saved Cannonball and Danny weren't actual X-Men.
They were not.
And so the end shot of season 1 is them arriving at Xavier's School for Extraordinary Youngsters, and then season 2, they're coined the New Mutants at school. But since they've been they're coming in a lot later, and they are obviously they are the broken toys.
Sure, yeah.
We are going to go into the 2009 storyline of them kind of being the outcasts of Xavier's School, and they kind of have to band together in this new high school format. And they have their gang of bullies, which are the Hellions, with Hellion, with Dust. I like to think that I think Dust and Karma eventually are friends. But we also have I am including in this Sam Guthrie's his sister Husk, and also one of the actual members of the Hellions in the 2009 book, Jay Guthrie, Icarus. And so basically they are the standard, they're the bullies basically, and then we get a much more fleshed out high school drama of Xavier's School, because I think this show could do really well, but then when it's almost like a Good Place ending, because the Good Place was fine until that last episode when you're like, what? When you find out it's oh, this isn't the Good Place, this has been the bad place all along. It's oh yeah, okay, now I'm totally invested in this show. So we can get to know these characters and get to love them and see them use their powers before we even actually enter Xavier's school.
Which is then gonna be like X-Men Evolution a little bit.
Kind of. But yeah, that's kind of my fix for this.
Yeah.
Because I want to, and the more I've been thinking about it, I was like, I want to watch this show.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the second season will actually start the actual high school drama.
Yes.
But we'll start that first season as a Friday the 13th.
Sure.
Survive camp.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know Disney and Marvel are kind of going through hey, what are we going to do with Marvel TV and stuff like that? You know, X-Men, actual high school drama is a no-brainer, easy win, pipeline for your cinematic universe.
But I also think it's fun, Moira McTaggart coming back to the school.
Sure.
And her dealing with Xavier and him being like, you're dead. You were dead. And she's like, yeah, I don't die. Oops. Sorry about that. So I think she's kind of like their counselor almost, and she like kind of joins back up with the school, but they're like the tensions, but even between teachers, are there as well. Mm-hmm. And then in the third season, we could bring in Emma Frost as an instructor, and Sam Guthrie's like, "You're from the Hellfire Club. Like, I can't trust you. Like, how does this even
work?"
Yeah. I think there's a lot
to be done.
Yeah, it's really. How has this never been a thing? It's so... But Mr. Sinister and the Essex Corporation is good. It's good. Like, that twist is good. Like, I did kind of keep the twist, but like, it's I don't know, man. This movie made me so mad.
Yeah.
Why can't we have anything nice? You know.
Sorry, bud.
All right, it's your turn. You're doing something weird.
I am doing something weird. Here's the thing, guys. Superheroes and horror movies don't match. They don't make sense together because there's too much power on the good guy side.
Yeah.
So, like
Brightburn made it work, but they had to make the superhero the bad guy.
Yeah. And he had to be a kid because that's what the tension was. If he was any older or like past that point, it was like, oh well, this is just Superman murdering a bunch of people.
This is Homelander.
Okay, yeah, this is Homelander. Yay.
And that's no fun.
That is no fun unless we have people there to stop them. So I had an idea of I didn't have a fully fleshed out idea of like, oh, this is a new version of the movie.
Yeah, we were talking on the phone last night and you were like, I don't know. And I was like, okay.
Rarely do I not have.
It is very rare.
Usually I have some kernel of it. It's like, wait a second. Wait, maybe if it's like,
I'm loving it.
So, like, I had truly no idea how to fix this movie.
Yeah.
But what I did have was a bunch of little small ideas that could be horror films starring superheroes or taking some of the actual scarier X-Men runs and turning them into movies.
Hell yeah. I'm into it.
So I have 6 pitches.
I love this. This is
for
fun.
Different movies.
I think it's also, it also breaks it up a little bit. You know,
it makes it up a little bit.
We've been doing like straight fixes all the time. Sometimes it's like, hey, here's a ton of ideas.
Yeah, here's the log line, and together we'll probably flesh these out a little bit.
Yeah.
So basically, this is just X-Men horror thriller-ish movies.
Yeah.
Pitch 1. I think this was a What If comic.
Oh, okay.
But slightly also, it was in kind of. We saw a little bit of it in the X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
I think episode 2 or 3. It's basically Jubilee alone in the mansion, and Sabretooth comes looking for Wolverine.
Oh.
And it's just kind of like a home invasion movie where it's Sabretooth hunting Jubilee
through the mansion. Okay.
And she's got to survive the night until everyone gets back.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So we get to
That's a good slasher flick too.
Yeah.
And you get the establishing shots of like all the mutants in the mansion before everybody leaves. Is pretty good.
Establish the whole mansion, and then Jubilee's by herself because they go off on a mission or something like that.
Jubilee's wacky spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's just home alone, and then Sabretooth comes in, breaks in, hunts Logan. He is not there. Well, I'm not gonna just hunt you then, because you like him so much. This will be a great calling card. Jubilee then has to survive on her own as she's hunted through the mansion through all, and we can see her use the danger room, go through, I'll just go through the mansion, go find the secret, the secret compartments that people, there's tunnels that inside, all sorts of stuff of her trying to survive the night.
It's basically like a Predator movie.
It's a little bit like a Predator movie.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Can she survive long enough for someone to get back to help her?
Yeah. You know who was really good as Sabretooth, and they didn't give... I thought Liev Schreiber was really good. That was the one good part of that Wolverine movie, the first one.
Yeah.
I was like, that really worked.
It did.
And it was really frustrating that kind of like
Well, we're not going to find somebody who's like 7 foot with a 12-pack and,
Yeah.
6 foot wide
It was
shoulders.
the first time where I fundamentally actually liked Sabretooth as a character.
Yeah.
Because that 90s design was a bummer. You can't take that seriously.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
the more realistic the Sabretooth is, as close as we can get to, like, yeah, that's clearly Sabretooth, but also, like, he definitely looks more like a, more person-ish. Like, the creepier it's going to get of this guy hunting this girl through the, but we understand what's going on. And she does have a little bit of agency. She does have the pew-pews. Yeah. But, like, those aren't going to stop Sabretooth. No. She's truly in trouble through the whole movie trying to survive.
She can deflect him. She can't stop him.
She cannot stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that a lot.
So that's kind of if not, maybe that could be like an hour long, the Werewolf by Night type of Marvel one shot.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah. Actually, just saying that out loud, a lot. If not a movie, a one shot for with Marvel stuff. Like
they should do more of those.
Yeah. Well, I think they should do more of them. I think things kind of got messed up this year if they couldn't do it, but yeah. No, the Guardians thing and Werewolf by Night was fantastic.
Yeah, even with already established characters.
Oh yeah,
like I would love to just see like hey, this is like a 1 hour episode of like a Moon Knight thing. Moon Knight fighting, so and so, and someone, other characters show up. Just a little slice of life of Marvel.
Slice of life, yeah.
Yeah,
a little hour long episode. Yeah,
yeah.
That totally works. Okay, pitch 2, and this is probably going to be a movie. The Brood. Oh, it's basically aliens.
Okay,
but they, kind of like Aliens. We figure out what our team of X-Men are. Yeah, and as they go along, like they can be getting turned into Brood along the way, and we eventually get turned. We get a final girl or guy. Yeah, it's up to the last person to defeat the Queen and revert everyone back before they're permanently Brood.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because the Brood is messed up.
Yeah,
they are creepy, but it's basically just aliens with X-Men.
Yeah,
and they have agency, they have all their powers, but they are outnumbered.
Or it's like The Thing and X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, that's really fun. That could even take place in the mansion.
Oh yeah.
Like,
take place in the mansion, takes place in like a moon outbase. There's a couple of established places in Marvel that could take place in. That we could do for about 90 minutes to 2 hours.
The suspense of like we're not sure who's Brood and who isn't,
who's been affected, who hasn't.
Yeah.
And then we got to take out the Queen before time runs out, or the last person's infected. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool as hell. I like that a lot.
Yeah. But basically, it's aliens with X-Men.
Yeah.
And they could use all their powers, but the numbers are against them.
Hell, even if it's like the New Mutants in the mansion.
Yeah.
Like during spring break and they didn't have anywhere to go. I don't know why I keep bringing up spring break, but they're high schoolers, so why not?
Spring break!
But like the majority of the people like aren't at the mansion that week.
Yeah.
And it's like them trying to figure out what's going on with a couple of their teachers have been kind of influenced by like almost like The Faculty, that movie. You know what I mean?
Man, I really wanted to like that movie when that came out.
Yeah, we all did. We all really wanted to like that movie.
Turns out
we really did.
You know what was the saving grace of that drug? Snorting drugs, Jay.
Yeah, man.
Snorting drugs up your nose.
And scooting. You know what I'm saying?
Tootin' and scooting won the day. That's how they survived.
Get them. Woo!
John Stewart died by a paper cutter.
Oh, he sure did. Oh, boy. I've never looked at a paper cutter.
Neither have I.
Yeah, can't do it.
Well, just a pen full of just booger sugar. Boom!
Woo!
Keeps you from turning into an alien.
Colombian dancing powder. You know what I'm saying? All right. Save the day.
So the Brood I think that's a perfect movie. That is a movie. That is a good movie.
Yeah,
3-act
really
structure
fun.
type of stuff. Okay, here's another good one. Which is also we mentioned that was going to be in the writer director's trilogy, the Inferno storyline.
I don't know this one.
So basically, it is So it's basically, it was a mega event that crossed a bunch of titles.
Okay.
Back in '89, but it's mostly focused on Ileana, and the comic books version of it is that there were a couple of demons in limbo, and when Ileana ported into and with the New Mutants to go into limbo and then come out somewhere else, they trapped the New Mutants in limbo and would only let them out if magic did something for them.
Yeah.
And like embrace something or like
Sure.
be the dark child or open up, blah blah blah, make a pact with a demon.
Yeah.
And so she does to get them out, and in doing so, they are able to open a portal that stays open in New York City, and the whole city becomes infested with demons. And like everything starts turning into demons.
Mephisto confirmed.
Mephisto definitely confirmed.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people freaking die because people are getting turned into demons. Inanimate objects are turning into demons,
Cool.
killing people. Like it gets messed up.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
And then the New Mutants come out, and everyone's got to rally together to put an end to these two
That's cool.
demons
I should check that out.
that made the initial pact with magic, and she like embraces her full power as the Dark Child, and like she's like I need to rule Limbo. I think this is the story that makes her rule Limbo. I need to get rid of these guys. So, and they were in charge of Limbo. The only way to stop this whole thing is for me to kill them and then take over Limbo.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I feel like that actually makes sense to me. Why that would be the third movie in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we could do that with the New Mutants. So just keep it centric with our main, 5 or 6, and it's just them having to save the city.
Yeah.
And Ileana realizing what she has to do to, she kind of has to maybe kind of sacrifice herself a little bit.
Yeah.
To save everybody.
Yes. Yeah, it's not bad. I think you need a lot of context before that. So
yes.
that makes it more sense as a sequel than anything because
it'd be good to know these characters beforehand. Yeah.
Or it's the kind of thing where it's like, you could minimize the scope of it and just put it in the mansion.
You could.
You know what I mean? Like things are like objects are coming to life in the house. Like there's clearly like a dark force here. We don't know what it is. Like it's not mutant, and Xavier the whole time is like it's not a mutant. I don't know what this is. Like it is basically like you're dealing with mutant kind in a way like they understand they have full agency as mutants, but this is an extraneous like demonic force that they have to fight against, and they're not 100% sure what it is. And then it comes to find out that it's just been magic. That magic made a deal, unfortunately, and it's starting to
unravel on her.
And she hasn't lived up to her side of the bargain, and so it is basically like it's like, oh, the mansion is descending into hell, so we need to figure that out. Oops. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, it definitely would be like a second or third movie just because we know the characters a little bit more.
Now that I know more, now that you've told me more about, I'm really trying to embrace if I don't know something and just admitting it.
Yeah.
And it's like it still kind of like freaks me out a little bit every time I do it.
Oh, it's okay to not know something.
Well, we get paid to know stuff sometimes.
No, we get paid to talk about things, Jay.
That's fair. That is fair.
That make things up and make.
But now that I know
jokes.
more about that storyline, the more I'm like frustrated that we didn't get this trilogy, or I'm frustrated we didn't get a good movie to begin with. But now I'm frustrated we didn't get this trilogy because it could have been cool.
Yeah. Hey, but Disney, Marvel, MCU, there's an opportunity for something good here.
Yeah.
Okay, pitch 4. This is the first thing that I thought of, and this is not off a comic thing. Because I was like, okay, how do we make like an X-Men horror film?
Yeah.
But I don't want to kill anybody.
Okay.
Because like Infernal Key in the mansion, no one can not many. We need red shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if it's in the city, like a bunch of just red shirt people can just die in the background to have the horror and like the scariness of like, hey, the threat, the stakes are high, random people are dying.
Yeah.
We gotta quash this thing. So, but if we have a horror film with X-Men, like what makes it horror is that people's lives are threatened, and usually that is shown by characters dying. So how do we do that with X-Men who I don't want to kill? Do you know the movie April Fools?
No.
So it's a horror film back in the 80s, I believe.
Okay.
Where so basically I think people are invited to like this rich girl's mansion, and it's a bunch of high school kids, and then all of a sudden everyone starts dying, and it gets really spooky scary, and like there's one person left and they're about to die, and then it turns out April Fools were all actually fine.
Oh,
It was just one
big
prank. So my thought would be, what if something along the lines of like our new mutants or whatever, like I was gonna say, are like, or maybe like the Hellions, right? Using yours a little bit.
Yeah.
The Hellions are kind of being bullies to a few of the kids.
Yeah.
And then I think like maybe like it has to be like the first time they're all there, like the first school year, and Kitty Pryde is, as an instructor or maybe as a student, is not there yet. No one can know about Shadowcat.
Okay. What?
That'll get to it. So like there's some bullying and stuff, they kind of counsel like, hey, but you can't, this isn't the way, this is not how you resolve issues about stuff like that. And so it turns out ultimately the whole scope of the thing is that some of the students get a couple of the teachers to be like, maybe it's, 'tis the season, maybe we just scare the crap out of these kids and use our powers to spook the hell out of them. And so like Kitty Pryde could show up as one of the instructors and be like, oh, Kitty, yeah, this is great. Here, put on this gown. We're going to paint you a little white. Just put your hair down in front of you. Yes, perfect. Just face through this TV. Like, she can be a ghost. Like, so everyone starts using their powers to, like, Storm can, like, blow things, and Jean can, like, lock their powers down.
So it's like kind of a lighthearted romp of pranking?
Yes. But, like, we'll go through the mansion, and we'll see a bunch of the characters who were in, like, the first act, like, killed.
Yeah.
Like, Storm is dead. Like, Xavier is found murdered. Like, all these people are, like, we're the only ones left, and they can start getting picked off one by one.
Yeah.
Until there's, like, a couple, one or two left. Until, like, they finally kind of get them down. It's like, so you're never actually in any danger. This is, Professor Pryde. She's, like, she can face through stuff. Like, they let them in. It's like, hey, don't bully. It's not. But, like, the whole thing can be set up. Like, the audience may know, like, oh, wait a second, that's Kitty Pryde. Oh, I see what's happening. She's acting like she's a ghost when she's just floating through things. Like,
that's a little wacky.
It's a little wacky, but I didn't want to kill any X-Men.
Yeah, I get it.
But
yeah.
but it could be spooky scary with, like,
it's so funny. No other comic book like franchise really likes to kill characters more than X-Men. I think
really
well, they have so many of them, so they can do it.
So many.
But like for some reason, it's funny that that's the property that likes to kill their characters a lot, and it's the one where I feel the most emotion when they do. Like, I'm still mad they punked Cyclops the way that they did. Like, if I ever met James Marsden, I want to be like, hey, they punked you so hard, and I'm still mad about it.
Yes.
They also didn't.
But he's all right.
He was a great cast for that role, and they didn't know what to do with him. And they never know what to do with Cyclops, and it's a bummer because I think there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because Cyclops is awesome.
That's
awesome.
But that's also the problem with X-Men sometimes, is that there's so many characters that they don't have to write all of them well.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, they never really they didn't figure out how to write Cyclops until like the 2000s, I would argue.
Yeah.
And then they really figured it out. Man, and astonishing when him and Emma, when he like finally like they deal with like why he can't control his powers and like what's actually going on there. It's so good. It's so good. I got lost in a rabbit hole. I forgot what I was talking about. I just got really excited about it.
Cool.
Cyclops.
All right, pitch 5. It's Resident Evil.
Oh, okay.
But our new mutants are trapped in Mr. Sinister's lab.
Oh, that's good. That's good. They got to fight a bunch of monstrosities.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. And then, so it's a little bit like Resident Evil, a little Aliens-esque, but like it's Mr. Sinister's. They go on a mission, and they find them kind of like with the first Resident Evil. They go on a mission, they find themselves trapped in a mansion.
Yep.
Oh wait, cut off from everybody, and then but like everything's going down. These monsters start getting released, and like it's Daniel. Mr. Sinister's making plans and making moves, but these things are out, and like it's in one of his abandoned labs, and
that's
like
fun.
Oh no,
that's fun as
we're
hell.
locked in.
Like
How do we the hell do we get out of here? Maybe Magic's not there because she could limbo, or just so we can, because we need to have that horror element of our characters are trapped here. They have to deal with this.
Understands what limbo is and built this lab in a place where limbo is just like a box. Like it's cut off. Like it's cut. This place is cut off from limbo. I don't know.
I mean, one of the other things I was thinking of is like maybe they'll have power dampeners.
That's true.
Like we see our characters have powers and they can use them, but like all of a sudden, no powers. Now they got to figure out how to get out of here.
Yeah.
Which having a power dampener on is a lot easier than like, or at least for me, being like psychologically like.
Yeah, but you got to utilize that right in order to make sure you don't kill all the fun.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's your strongest idea so far. Although the Jubilee Sabretooth one is just so clean, it's hard to argue with. No, that's really fun.
But that could also be like a little one shot of these 5 or 6 characters trapped in a
I love it.
abandoned Mr. Sinister lab
Yeah,
that
I
are
would love-
being tracked by.
Man, just
And you can mix and match, different power sets and stuff like that. Of because these are all just abominations that Mr. Sinister's come up with, and now it's just
that's good.
okay. Last pitch. We actually do the Demon Bear story.
Okay.
We actually just do it like they did in the comic. Our team is trapped at a hospital during a snowstorm or some other type of event.
And they're full on. They are at least part of the organization at this point. They're not full on X-Men, but like they're
they're part of the organization. And this young team finds themselves stranded. Danny went out to fight her demons, lost.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of it's in the comics. She goes out to fight the bear, loses. The rest of the new mutants go out and find her, get her to a hospital. The snowstorm hits. Danny's unconscious for most of the arc, but she's fighting it mentally while they're fighting it externally. And then we could also just like have their fears popping up as they also go through their own stuff.
Yeah, she's like completely lost control of what's going on. That's so clean. That's so clean and so much better. Because also like I want to just see them as the new like I want to, because that would them being part of Xavier's Institute to me would like them being isolated from that like kind of makes me not care as much.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that's not half bad.
Yeah.
And it's just them in a spooky old hospital with their fears coming to life.
Mm-hmm. Trying to save Danny. Yeah.
That's really clean. It's not bad.
Yeah. And and the same basic things happen. They can all have their past traumas and stuff come back, and Danny can figure out her stuff. But like Ileana can't just limbo out because she doesn't want to leave the team.
Yeah.
Yes, she could leave, but she's not going to. They're her friends.
Yes.
And in doing so, like her past traumas come up, and like she's got to.
And there's a way to make her like I thought the way they wrote her was kind of like lopsided. I thought a lot of her backstory was interesting, and but like her being a jerk to everybody and like her then like coming to their rescue just didn't feel authentic.
That was the thing. They go into the room and she sees her fears manifest with a Slenderman, and then they come out and then
friggin' heavy,
which is
too.
Yes, it was. Well, especially when you told me what was actually going on, because I didn't connect the dots. And then it was Sam and Danny. No, she was strapped down. It was Sam and Wolfsbane, right?
Yeah.
In the hallway, and then she just like, you got to help us, and Ileana just leaves. And so now they're just running through the hallway away from the Slenderman.
Yes.
And then a couple shots later down the hall.
No, it's Sunspot.
Oh, and then they just go downstairs, and then all of a sudden, she just jumps back through a portal with a sword out, killing everybody, which was awesome.
But it didn't make any sense.
But we didn't.
It felt like an editing.
We didn't have that scene of her, I guess maybe in limbo,
making the choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. Oh, now that I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's just kind of stupid. And also them in her office finding that file so quickly was just like, I was like, oh, this is a hatchet job. Yeah, they edited. Well, they edited this thing with a buzzsaw.
They used footage from Logan.
Yeah, that was fine. I was cool with that.
Okay, I mean, I
thought that was kind of
use
fun.
the footage where you can get it. Like Michael Bay's reused footage from movies all the time.
Yeah,
but just like,
I'm fine with it because it's in universe.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
It was from another X-Men movie. It made sense.
Sure.
And that's technically where they got X-23 from. So it's, I didn't think that was terrible. But for me, if you're going to do that, just put X-23 in your movie.
Yes, please.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Wolfsbane, but it could have been X-23. Or put both of them. Who cares?
Yeah, why not?
Who cares? Or, you another pitch right now.
Pitch 7.
you have the New Mutants escape from this Essex corporation, and they are being hunted by X-23.
Ooh.
And it becomes about them having to fight against her, but also trying to get her, like, to eventually join the New Mutants. I know she actually lands more on the Avengers side of the fence than she does in the X-Men universe, but whatever. That's not bad either. Okay.
There's a lot you can do with the X-Men. It's a rich universe with lots of amazing stories and characters.
It's one of maybe my favorite IPs, like, full stop.
Yeah.
And it's just... X-Men is much like Pokemon. Follow me.
Uh-oh.
It is one of those IPs where the idea, the core concept of it, and the core heart of it creatively is so good that I will continue to be abused by it until the end of time.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, wow, X-Men is so awesome, and they're so, like, the core of it is so friggin' cool, and I love it, that I will put up with so many bad story arcs. I will put up with so many bad movies. I will, like, continue to come back to it. Pokemon refuses to make a good game. They refuse. They refuse to be a good games company, but the IP is so strong that I don't care. Yeah. Okay. I think we have a good idea of how we could fix this.
Yeah.
I feel like we did it.
We did do it.
Oof.
A little different, but we still did it. We still got there.
What's our episode next week?
Jay, we are going to be fixing season 1 of Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, another mutant. technically.
The first mutant in the MCU.
Yeah,
next
even
week.
though she's an Inhuman, but whatever.
No, it makes more sense. She was supposed to be a mutant, so it makes more sense that she's a mutant.
It does make more sense that she's a mutant. It's frustrating she's not an Inhuman. However, the Inhumans television show was so bad that I do not blame them for from walking away from that concept completely. It was truly the worst thing they've ever made. I understand why they were like, we're done with this. And I'd be like, cool, we never liked the Terrigen Mist to begin with. You should have just stuck with what you were doing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was actually kind of okay. Whatever.
Miss Marvel.
We're
going to fix season 1 of Miss Marvel.
Normally, we talked about it, and I was like, I'm not going to offer any challenges because this is an entire television show we have to fix.
The only thing the only caveat or the rule I guess we're having for it is we got to keep the bangle.
Keep the bangle.
We got to keep the bangle because we don't know what they clearly have plans for that bangle.
Yes.
So we don't know what those plans are yet. So we're gonna keep the bangle, but other than that,
are we keeping within the bangle? Are
Yes.
we keeping the like what her powers actually are? Are we keeping the multidimensional aspect, or is that in
I think we
flux?
just keep the bangle.
Okay, that's fine.
The bangle unlocks her ability.
Sure.
Is her ability still? Is it still like big and through shapes and stuff? A hard light energy as it starts?
Yeah.
Maybe that's your choice to make. Just the bangle is the thing that unlocks it.
Okay.
That's all. Honestly, that's all we need.
Yeah.
Because that bangle's got something to do with something. We don't know what yet, but other than that,
She's from Jersey City.
she is from Jersey City. She's now your hometown hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
Protecting those streets.
Woo! Woo! All right, you guys. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. If you're catching this on YouTube, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, do that YouTube that you do so well. And if you're catching this wherever you catch your podcasts, if you wouldn't mind leaving us a quick review, maybe give us 5 stars, please. I just like reading them. It's fun, and it definitely helps the show. Not that any podcasting application of any kind really has a good metric on how to find new shows. It's truly very frustrating. Apple Podcasts refuses to be a good service to use, but what can you do?
What can you do?
They always say it helps, and I'm like, I'm not sure if it does, but
It helps us.
what can you
we
do?
like feeling good about ourselves.
You know what? It helps our morale.
Yeah.
So if only for that, go for it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week for Mrs. Marvel, and as we end every one of these episodes, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
It's the giant glowing blue blade you don't see coming. It's really, especially when it gets really big.
That's the thing.
Like there's a big freaking like Buster Sword size. That's just
the CG was so cool.
Yeah.
It looked so awesome when her eyes went blue. I was like, this rules. but I hate this
Well,
movie.
she had a great line. She goes, "Careful, it's magic." And she turns
So
the
am
camera.
I.
So am I.
Awesome! It's so. When Cannonball Gibbo was, I was like, "This was rad." I hate that. It's so frustrating. I hate this movie. We gotta go. We'll talk to you. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.